Most of the chemical reactions are said to be redox reactions. What's the meaning of redox? The term itself explains that it is a combination of reduction reaction as well as an oxidation reaction. What is reduction and oxidation? The term itself explains that oxidation, addition of oxygen or something, some atom is gaining oxygen. Reduction, anything that loses oxygen is said to be a reduction. Another explanation of oxidation and reduction can be given with respect to hydrogen. Gain of hydrogen is said to be reduction, whereas loss of hydrogen is said to be oxidation. By now we have two definitions of reduction and oxidation. Anything that gains oxygen is said to be oxidation, loses hydrogen is also said to be oxidation. Reduction, anything that loses hydrogen is said to be an oxidation reaction, and anything that gains an hydrogen is said to be a reduction reaction. Let's look into some examples. When I burn carbon in the presence of oxygen, I get carbon dioxide. So carbon gains oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Gain of oxygen is said to be oxidation. So carbon gains oxygen, so this is said to be an oxidation reaction. Very famous equation, carbon dioxide in the presence of water and a little bit of sunlight gives you glucose subunits and oxygen. If you deeply analyze this equation, carbon dioxide has got hydrogen gained. So gain in hydrogen is said to be reduction. In the first equation, carbon gained only oxygen, said to be an oxidation reaction. In the second equation, carbon dioxide gained hydrogen to form glucose. So this is said to be an reduction equation. So we know reduction means it should either loses electron or gains hydrogen. Oxidation refers to gain in oxygen or loss of hydrogen. There is a little problem with some of the chemical reactions where this concept will not be working. For example, zinc chloride plus aluminium gives you aluminium chloride and zinc. We don't have oxygen, we don't have hydrogen also involved in this equation. So it is difficult for us to understand whether this is a reduction or oxidation or a redox equation. We can't use the concept of oxygen and hydrogen with these kind of equations where oxygen and hydrogen is not involved. We need a better definition in order to understand the reduction and oxidation happening in this equation. We need another concept which can explain the reduction and oxidation of those equations which does not involve oxygen and hydrogen. We need the concept of electrons. We know few terms which we have learned in our lower secondary grades. The concept of valency, charge, which is also called as oxidation number. What is the meaning of valency? The number of electrons that are involved in bonding is said to be valency of an element. For example, only 2 electrons are present in the oxygen's outer shell will be involved in the bonding of oxygen. Only 1 electron, unpaired electron, present in case of chlorine is involved in the bonding of chlorine. So valency of chlorine is said to be 1 and oxygen it is said to be 2. What is the difference between charge and valency? Charge gives detailed explanation of what happens to the valence electrons. If you look into the outer electronic configuration of chlorine, chlorine has got 17 electrons in its shell which are arranged in 2, 8, 7. There are 7 electrons in its outer shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. there is only one electron which is unpaired that gets involved in the bonding. So the valency of chlorine is said to be 1. But what happens to that electron? Will it be gained or lost in order to attain stable electronic configuration? Chlorine, since it is highly electronegative atom, it always gains that electron in order to attain the stable electronic configuration. So here the charge of chlorine will become minus. And this number is also represented as oxidation number. Chlorine's oxidation number here, it is -1. Same way oxygen has got -2, referring that it always gains 2 electrons. Iron can be available in +2 and +3 state, refers to that this can lose 3 electrons, or +2 state it can lose 2 electrons. So once again, the concepts of electrons. You need to know two terminologies. One is the valency and the charge. Valency refers to the outermost electrons that are unpaired, and specifically those undergo bonding. Oxygen has got 2 unpaired electrons, so the valency of oxygen is said to be 2, and chlorine has got 1, so the valency is said to be 1. Charge explains what is the fate of these electrons. Will they be gained or lost? In case of chlorine, it always gains, so it is said to be -1. And oxidation state of oxygen is 2, means the outermost 2 unpaired electrons will get involved in bonding, and due to the electronegativity of oxygen, it always gains electrons, it becomes -2. So the oxidation state of oxygen is said to be -2. And some of the oxidation states of metals, mostly it will always be in positive charge because they tend to lose electrons. What makes them to lose electrons? Chlorine and oxygen are highly electronegative, whereas all the metals are said to be highly electropositive, means they tend to lose electrons. As we discussed, the oxidation state of iron can be +3, and in its ferrous state, the oxidation state of iron is said to be +2. Minus sign refers to the gain in electrons, and the positive sign refers to the loss of electrons. So we have some species that are good at gaining electrons and some good at losing electrons. If anything that loses electrons, then it is said to be oxidation. Oxidation, anything that loses electrons. And what about reduction? Anything that gains electrons is said to be reduction. Now we have modified definitions for reduction and oxidation along with the previous two. Let's summarize it. Reduction, oxidation. Reduction is gain of hydrogen, oxidation is loss of hydrogen. Reduction is loss of oxygen, oxidation is gain of oxygen. And with respect to the electrons concept, what we learned right now, reduction is gain of electrons. In case of chlorine and oxygen, gained electrons. Oxidation is said to be loss in electrons. What about the oxidation state of all the elements present in the periodic table? We have 18 groups in the periodic table, and we have 7 periods. Let's look at the oxidation state of each elements according to their group. The first group of elements will have always the oxidation state of +1, means they are always tend to be losing 1 electron in order to attain the stable electronic configuration. The second group will always be having an oxidation state of +2, means always better at losing 2 electrons in order to attain a stable electronic configuration. From S block, let's move on to the P block. Boron group, which is said to be the 13th group, will be having an oxidation state of 3+. They always tend to lose 3 electrons in order to attain stable electronic configuration. The next group, the carbon group, has got the charge of +4, or the oxidation state as +4. And the nitrogen group shows 3 to 4 different oxidation states. It ranges from +5 to -5, means they can lose +5 electrons or they can gain up to -5 electrons. Oxygen group has got -2, but sometimes as you go down the group, the oxidation state can extend to +6 also, meaning oxygen is better at gaining 2 electrons to attain -2 charge, whereas as you go down, sulfur, selenium shows +6 oxidation state, means losing 6 electrons in order to attain a stable electronic configuration. Fluorine group can gain only 1 electron, which leads with the charge -1, and the last 18th group, the helium group, does not show any oxidation state, so it is said to be 0 because of their stable electronic configuration. But why did I miss the D block elements? D block elements are said to be transition elements, meaning they can show variable valencies. The oxidation state of the D block elements may range from +1 to an higher oxidation state of +8 also. Commonly, all the atoms possess +2 oxidation state because of their 4s2 electrons, which can be easily lost in order to attain a stable electronic configuration. The oxidation state of metal ions in their compounds also differs according to the atom to which it is bound. Fine. With this little bit of information about the oxidation state of various elements according to their groups, we'll have to know 4 more points which explains and which helps us to understand the redox equations better. So the first point would be oxidation state of any element or an atom in its uncombined state is 0. For example, if I have zinc reacting with the copper sulfate to form zinc sulfate and copper, the oxidation state of zinc is considered to be 0. The second point, any molecule has a charge of 0. Again, the same equation, we have a molecule copper sulfate which has got a oxidation state of 0, means the overall charge of copper sulfate is considered to be 0. Third point, the charge of any ion, whether it is a complex ion or a simpler ion, the charge is given as its superscript. For example, a simpler ion like chromium has got a charge of +3 mentioned as its superscript. In case of a complex ion like a manganate ion, the charge is mentioned again as the superscript, so the manganate ion possesses the charge of -1. Fourth point, the oxidation state, whether it is plus or minus of a species, depends upon the electronegativity of its neighboring atoms. For example, we have ammonia and nitrogen monoxide. We know that hydrogen always possesses the charge of +1, so the oxidation state of nitrogen would become -3. Whereas in case of nitrogen monoxide, since oxygen shows the charge of -2, nitrogen has the charge of +2. So what makes nitrogen -3 in here and +2 in here? It is the electronegativity of the atom to which nitrogen is bound. Hydrogen is less electronegative than nitrogen, so hydrogen loses electrons to nitrogen, making it -3. In case of nitrogen monoxide, oxygen is highly electronegative than nitrogen, so oxygen gains the electrons from nitrogen, making it +2. So we should be knowing all these 4 points in order to explain the redox equations in a better manner. Let's use these 4 points in order to analyze one equation, sodium reacting with hydrogen. By the basic definitions, addition of hydrogen, we call it as reduction. When we look into the deeper aspects, the oxidation state of sodium, according to the first point we discussed, is considered to be 0. The second point says the oxidation state of any molecule is also considered to be 0. In case of the products, the oxidation state of sodium hydride is also 0. Now wait a minute. Is there any change happened in sodium and hydrogen? Of course, it had happened. Sodium hydride overall charge is going to be 0. When you compare the electronegativity of sodium and hydrogen, sodium, as I told you, it's a metal, is block element, has got a higher electropositivity than hydrogen, so this tend to lose electrons to hydrogen, so that sodium would become +1 and hydrogen, since it gain electrons, it becomes -1. Addition of hydrogen is said to be reduction, but in deeper aspect, sodium has lost an electron to form +1. So the reduction and oxidation can be explained with respect to the oxidation numbers and transfer of electrons better than the basic definitions. Sodium hydride, sodium has got reduced since it is gaining hydrogen, but that is not the concept. Sodium has lost an electron, so it gets oxidized. Knowing change in the oxidation number of a species explains the oxidation and reduction better than the basic definitions of gain hydrogen or gain in oxygen. So sodium is oxidized and hydrogen got reduced. Let's use the equation which we considered first. Zinc chloride reacting with aluminium, it gives aluminium chloride and zinc. Let's analyze the first example which we took. Zinc chloride reacting with aluminium to give you aluminium chloride and zinc. So we don't have oxygens, we don't have hydrogens. There is no gain in oxygen or gain in hydrogen. So let's consider the oxidation state of all the species involved. The overall charge of zinc chloride, the oxidation state, is considered to be 0 according to the second point we learnt. But when you look into the charge of zinc and chlorine, as we discussed, it always possesses -1 since it comes under 17th group. Zinc, since it is an D block element, a transition element, it can have variable valencies, so we'll have to do a small workup. Zinc chloride, overall charge is going to be 0. Zinc, we don't know the oxidation state, so let it be Zn. And chlorine's oxidation state, we know it is -1, but how many chlorines are there? 2, so times 2 equal to 0. So Zn minus 2 equal to 0, then Zn as the charge of +2. So I have found out that in zinc chloride the oxidation state is +2. According to the first point we learned, any atom in its unreacted state has got a charge of 0. Again we have a molecule, overall charge is going to be 0. Let's do the same calculation. AlCl3 overall charge is equal to 0. Al plus each chlorine has got -1 charge, and there are 3 times 3 gives you 0. So Al possesses the charge of +3. So +3 and chlorine has got -1. According to the first point we learned, zinc in its unreacted state has got a charge of 0. Now we have zinc and aluminium whose oxidation state got changed from their initial state, whereas chlorine's oxidation state stays the same. So chlorine is considered to be a spectator ion. It does not involve in the reaction, I mean specifically the redox reactions, but it just stays as a spectator. So eliminating the spectator, since it does not involve in the reaction, if you write the remaining species, you will get the ionic equation. Zn plus 2 plus Al gives you Al plus 3 plus Zn. Let's write the zinc part alone. Zinc from +2 state, it has become Zn. Let's write the aluminium part. Aluminium has become aluminium 3+. So what had happened to Zn? From +2 state, it has become 0. And this change would be possible when it gains 2 electrons. But From where these electrons are gained? From aluminium. So aluminium loses 3 electrons to form aluminium ions. So these electrons are gained by zinc, so that it will get reduced. But how did I decide that aluminium loses electrons and zinc gains electrons? We need to have an idea of the reactivity series. So reactivity series explains the reactivity of various elements, and this list has got some of the S block elements as well as the D block elements. The reactivity series has got potassium at the top. Potassium is highly reactive, then the elements present below it, and silver, gold stays at the bottom of the series, explaining that these are very less reactive. What makes them less reactive and what makes potassium and sodium are as a highly reactive? Their ability to lose electrons. If an atom loses electron, it is said to be highly reactive. So we are now clear with that silver, copper and gold, which are at the bottom of the series, they are not good at losing electrons, meaning that they tend to have higher electronic affinity. So we know that potassium, sodium are at the top of the series, as I told you. So easily they tend to lose electrons, making them highly reactive. Copper, silver and gold has got higher electron affinity, which makes them difficult to lose an electron. So they become less reactive. So when you compare the reactivity of zinc and aluminium, aluminium is highly reactive than zinc, which makes aluminium to get oxidized easily than zinc. Comparing the oxidation ability of aluminium and zinc, aluminium is good at losing electrons than zinc. So zinc should be gaining electrons easily. So according to the reactivity series, aluminium is at the top of the reactivity series than zinc. So aluminium tend to lose electrons easily than zinc. So aluminium loses electrons, zinc gains electrons. So aluminium gets oxidized and zinc gets reduced. The concept of gaining of electrons and losing of electrons helps us understand the redox reactions better than the basic definitions of the gain in oxygen or gain in hydrogen. But can we extend this concept to solve some complex equations? Yes, of course. Let's consider this equation. We can analyze whether it is a redox equation or not by following the same method. The overall charge of manganate ion is considered to be -1 because it is mentioned as the superscript. We know that manganese is a transition element, so let it be Mn plus each oxygen has got the oxidation state of -2, and there are 4 oxygen atoms in it, which on adding them with the manganese ion should give -1. Now Mn minus 8 will be -1. Then Mn is supposed to be +7, which makes it -1. The charge of manganese is said to be +7 and the charge of oxygen is going to be -2. And the charge of iron is +2. And hydrogen, as it is mentioned in the superscript, +1. Manganese ion has got +2 and ferric ion it is given as +3. In case of water, we know that oxygen is always having a -2 charge, then hydrogen should be +1, so that the overall charge will become 0. Now let's strike out or eliminate the spectator ions. Remember, spectator ions are those whose charge did not get changed. So we have oxygen, which has a -2 in the reactant side as well as -2 in the product side. So let's eliminate that. We have hydrogen ion whose charge is also unchanged, so let's eliminate that too. Now we ended up with an equation, an ionic equation as Mn plus 7 plus Fe plus 2, which gives Mn2 plus Fe3 plus. Let's write the manganese alone. Mn plus 7 has become Mn2 plus. Fe plus 2 has become Fe3 plus. So from plus 7 state, it has become plus 2 state. When does this change occur? When manganese would have gained 5 electrons, then there would be a reduction in oxidation number and it becomes 2 plus. When does plus 2 becomes plus 3? When ferrous ion loses an electron, then it would have become Fe3 plus. So by this we can conclude that a reduction of manganese ion occurred, which resulted in Mn plus 7 to Mn plus 2, and oxidation of Fe2 plus ion resulted in Fe3 plus. Will all the redox reactions be same? Definitely not. There is an exception. We'll take an example of chlorine and sodium hydroxide, which gives you sodium chloride and sodium chlorate and water. In this case, as we learnt the second point, the oxidation state of chlorine is said to be 0. Sodium hydroxide, the overall charge is going to be 0, and since oxygen is minus 2 and sodium is plus 1, then hydrogen will also be plus 1, so that the overall charge will become 0. In case of sodium chloride, overall charge is going to be 0, then chlorine is minus 1, which leaves sodium with plus 1 charge. In case of sodium chlorate, since sodium is plus 1 and oxygen is minus 2, then chlorine, it has to be plus 1, so that the overall charge becomes 0. Note, chlorine should have a minus 1 charge, but according to the fourth point, which we discussed already, the charge of an atom depends upon the neighboring atom. So oxygen's electronegativity makes chlorine to lose electron, so that chlorine becomes plus 1. And as we have seen already, hydrogen has got a charge of plus 1 and oxygen has minus 2. So let's strike out the spectator ions. Of course, sodium is a spectator ion whose charge is unchanged. Oxygen is also a spectator ion because its charge remains the same. Hydrogen's charge is also unchanged, so that is also acting as an spectator ion. You can carefully note that only chlorine's charge is changed. Cl2 has become Cl minus and Cl with a plus 1 charge. In this equation, chlorine has resulted in two products with minus 1 charge as well as plus 1 charge. It explains that chlorine should have lost an electron to form chlorine plus ion, and here chlorine should have gained an electron to form chloride ion. So reduction and oxidation of chlorine occurred in this equation. This kind of equations where one species gets oxidized as well as reduced, you call it as disproportionation reaction. You can work out with another example where phosphorus reacts with the sodium hydroxide in the presence of water molecule to give you sodium hydrogen phosphate plus phosphine. You should have found out that this equation is also a disproportionation reaction if you would have followed all the 4 points we discussed earlier. If not, phosphorus from a 0 state has formed a plus 1 state, and phosphine where phosphorus with minus 3 state. So phosphorus got oxidized as well as reduced, making it as another example of disproportionation reaction. By now, we are very much clear about what is a reduction equation, oxidation equation, and what is a redox equation. We have also learnt about disproportionation reactions also. But why should I learn all these redox equations? What is the application of redox equations? Of course, there are some good reasonable applications using the redox concepts. One important application is you can balance any kind of equations using the redox complex. You should have noted down from the zinc example which we took till the phosphorus example, I haven't balanced any of the equation. To explain whether a reduction occurred or an oxidation occurred or both reduction and oxidation occurred in an equation, you don't necessarily have to balance the equation. But if you want to balance the equation, you can take the concept of redox equation. How? Let me use an example of another redox reaction which is not balanced. Let's try to use the concept of redox in order to balance this equation. So quickly work out on all the oxidation states. So we have got all the oxidation states. Striking of the spectator ions will lead to the ionic equation alone. Cr plus 6. So Cr from plus 6 state it has become plus 3 state, and Fe from plus 2 state it has become plus 3 state. If you note down, from plus 6 it has become plus 3. It says that Cr plus 6 needs 3 electrons for this change to occur. But we have only one electron given by one ferrous ion to form one ferric ion. And there are two chromium ions. Each needs 3 electrons, which says that we need 6 electrons on the whole. So I'm balancing these two equations with respect to electrons. I need 6 electrons for the reduction of chromium. So 6 electrons should be produced by ferrous ions. So if each ferrous ion gives 1 electron, then 6 electrons should have been given by 6 ferrous ions in forming 6 ferric ions. We have found out that 6 ferrous ions are required in this process. So let's make this 6 on this equation, which makes it Cr2O72 minus plus 6 Fe2 plus hydrogen ions gives you 2 Cr plus 3. Cr2, so we should be having 2 Cr plus 6 Fe plus 3. 6 Fe2 plus give 6 Fe3 plus. 6 Fe2 plus give 6 Fe3 plus H2O. We have almost done with the balancing part except the hydrogen ions. There are 7 oxygen in the chromate ion. So we'll make this water molecule as 7, which results in 14 hydrogen ions. That's the end of the balancing. Another application of redox concept is finding out which one can act as a better oxidizing agent and which one can act as a better reducing agent. From the equation which we have done so far, chromium is gaining electrons. So anything that gains electrons is said to be reduction, and anything that loses electron is said to be oxidation. In case of a reducing agent and oxidizing agent, it goes with the opposite. If something is good at losing electrons, then it can act as a better reducing agent, and if something is good at gaining electrons, then it is said to be a better oxidizing agent. Because in this equation, Cr plus 6 makes Fe2 plus to lose electrons. So Cr plus 6 in turn gets reduced. So Cr plus 6 making Fe2 plus to Fe3 plus. So Cr is the reason why Fe2 plus undergoes oxidation, and Fe2 plus is the reason for the reduction of Cr plus 6. So Cr got reduced acting as an oxidizing agent. Fe2 plus is oxidized so that it acts as a better reducing agent.